Alright gang, Wednesday morning, back to the Acura. Bodywork is almost done. This thing has been whipping me hard. Back up a little here, extreme close up. Got a smear glazing putty on it. Everything fits up nice. I'm going to get this block down. With the glazing putty you can come right out onto your sanded paint. It's made to go over it. At least this is USC icing. Not the thin ice, but just the regular icing. So we're looking pretty good, and I'm going to get this block down and get the bumper. I'll clamp the bumper back up into its position so you can see it matches nice, and we'll go from there. Glad to see on the VW Darren channel everything's going good. Tom and Darren are banging out a car today over and getting that knocked out. So look forward to watching that a little bit later on when I get home. I'm going to get this knocked out. I'm going to get some epoxy over it, and then I'll get some high build over it. I don't know if I'm going to seal this one or not. I don't know if it's a sealer that was giving me some issues the other day with my tailgate. It was picking up around the edge, and then I don't know if it was that I had sprayed it and had too much of an edge around it, but everywhere there was an edge of that sealer, my metallics were falling real strange on it. So I think I'm just going to get this one wet sanded out to 800, and after I get the primer blocked out, and call it happy. And I'll put some ground coat on this. I have another ugly Chrysler gold color I'll put over that bodywork area, and then I'll start putting my color on it. Hopefully hide that. I got that, and then I just got to feather that little rust spot out a little bit better. I'll get her masked up, bagged up, throw some primer on that, probably throw some acid etch over that bare metal. Any other bare metal I have, I'll put some acid on. And then maybe throw a little bit of epoxy over that too. And then that little hole there, after this car is all painted, I'm going to pull the trim off the other side, that little piece of molding, and I'm going to spray some rust protection down in there. And then I'm going to get in the trunk in here. I have to seam seal around my welds inside. I'll clean that disaster up, and I shouldn't call it a disaster. It's not really that bad, but at any rate, gang, we're ready for primer. We're going to get it masked up and ready to go. It's kind of hard to tell from this angle. Let's try this angle. It's all nice, same level there. I don't have it bolted up real tight, but we can make her fit. That's how you want your edges of your filler to look, almost completely transparent. So it's feathered out real nice, feels nice. So we're going to give her a go here. We'll get some primer. Alright kiddies, got a coat of epoxy, primer on the bare steel, epoxy over the repair area, and 2 coats of high build primer. I'm going to put a third one on there. I have plenty of primer left, and I thinned it down a little bit, so I'm going to make sure I got plenty on there. But bodywork looks good. See a few spots that like it, a little bit of a pinhole to it. That's why I'm going to put one more coat onto it. This is all back masked and ready to go, so I'm just waiting for that to flash off. If you keep piling it on while it's wet, and I put reducer in it, it'll trap the solvent and sand. The next layer of primer you put down will melt into the one you put before it, so I actually want it to build up a little bit here. Bodywork's looking pretty good, so I'm not too awfully concerned about it not blocking out. Then I'll put that on there, and then tomorrow I'll come back and sand it, block it out, throw some guide coat on it, make sure I get my scratches out. I'll start blocking that with some 320, and then go to 400 or 500, and probably stop there, and then I'll go to the whole panel with 800. There's not much peel at all in this one. When I painted it last year, I cut it just a little bit with some 2000 and buffed it out, so it came out pretty clean. So I'm not too worried about that. Alright, I'm gonna grab the gun and I'm gonna throw a coat on this and call it a day. It's a gorgeous day here in northern Ohio. 70 degrees. It's supposed to be 40 something tomorrow though. We're using the Sharp titanium T1 gun with the 1.4 tip. It's laying this primer nice. I think we'll call that happy. Don't get too carried away here. Bring you guys in, we'll clean this gun up, and I'm going home. Had a bit of a brief intermission today. I put that epoxy on and I put it on with my touch-up gun, and that was kind of a mistake. I think the theory about that new lacquer thinner cleaning guns out, that thing's got a small tip in it, and I think it was plugged. It wasn't putting it on very nice, so I had to wait a couple hours. I put the heat lamp on it, and I came back and wet sanded that with some 800 and got that ugliness out of there. This is actually Finish Pro gun wash cleaner I've had in the cabinet. I quit using it, not because there was anything wrong with it. I gotta go get the paper towel. But I was using that and it worked good. I was just trying to get something more economical. And after seeing what Darren went through yesterday, I'm using pretty much the same thing. It's just an economy thinner for cleaning my guns, and I have a feeling he might be onto something. I think it's leaving just enough residue in these guns that it's causing a problem. Even when the stuff sits in thinner. I've actually dumped lacquer thinner, this cheap stuff in a cup, on top of, dumped lacquer thinner on top of, primer or clear or whatever in a cup. The clear hardens underneath it. So that tells me right there it's shit thinner, because it would never do this with this gun wash, and I always use this gun wash before this stuff right here, and it's worked good. That's virgin solvent. It's not lacquer thinner. It might have some lacquer thinner in it. I'll have to read it here in a minute, but it's never let me down before. I always wash my gun like this, let it run out the needle, shake it around, put some more in there. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'll bring you guys into the light here. Let's try this. There we go. That's just one round through there. If that was that lacquer thinner, it would have never rinsed that out with one round. I'm going to go over it again, which I always do, but that's just kind of aggravating. You pay $50 or $40 for a 5-gallon of that gun wash solvent, and I put it in one of these little squirt bottles because that works good for me. Probably isn't enough to clean this, another thing you can do is back flush your gun, turn the pressure almost completely down to nothing, and hold a rag over the air horns and just barely start to pull the trigger back. Of course, without having your face over top of it, and it will actually boil the material kind of back into the cup or blow bubbles into the cup. And that's basically what that's doing, is blowing the thinner backwards through the cup, and that'll sort of it's called percolating your gun. I don't know that people, the guys that do this every day, if they recommend doing that. I saw it on a Kevin Tett's video a couple, 3-4 years ago, his Paintucation series on how to clean a gun, and it seemed logical to me. And if you look after you're completely done, cleaning your gun and you look at what's in the cup, it's amazing. There'll be little particles of material in there if it wasn't perfectly clean before, like if you let it sit with some thinner in it overnight or for a couple hours and then back flush it like that. Basically what you're doing is you're putting your hand over the air horn with a rag so you block off the airflow, and you're just barely pulling on the trigger with your air regulated at the gun almost to nothing. Because if you have it turned up to, say your gun takes 29 psi to produce 10 pounds at the cap, it'll blow the thinner out of the top of this thing like Old Faithful, and that's not what you want. You should do it with the lid on the cup and safety glasses on and your face out of the way. So I don't necessarily know that I condone to the process. You know, somebody probably end up not doing that right and blow it out in their face and end up going blind. So again, it works good. It's just a matter of, you know, how you like to do it. And normally 99.9% of the time just running the thinner through them keeps them clean, but I'll show you my thinner here. Let's see. Well, it says premium wash thinner, but let's see. This new lacquer thinner has alcohol in it. And I think that that's one of the things that really isn't, it's just not getting the stuff clean. You cannot mix this stuff with lacquer-based primer. It turns into a big old mess, which they tell you that it's not for that. But yeah, let's see, what does it say? It contains methyl acetate, methyl alcohol, toluene, naphtha, and tetrahydrofuran, whatever the hell that is. Nowhere on here does it say lacquer thinner, but it really isn't all that good. This stuff's made it right here near Columbus, Ohio. That's not where I am, but that's where it's made. I'm looking to see if it says anything about lacquer thinner. Yeah, no. So I won't be buying another 5 gallon of this shit because it sucks. I've had it since last winter. Not too impressed with it. I think that was 38 or 48 bucks for that 5 gallon. So I'm guessing that stuff is just not all that good. It's clear. It doesn't look like recycled thinner, but it sure as hell acts like it. Usually recycled thinner is sort of yellowish. It's got a little tint to it. At least the stuff I've seen before. But at $15 or $16 for a gallon of gun wash thinner, as compared to, you know, 38 bucks for a 5 gallon, I thought, well, that was a heck of a lot better deal, and you have to be so careful on how much I used. But it didn't seem to make any difference, because you end up, no matter how much you use, it still doesn't do the trick. I just washed my Soda Jet and my new Plus out with this thinner right here, and I'm hoping that will eliminate any problems. I mean, I can't imagine, I don't see anything that warrants me to further clean that, but I'm going to leave that thinner in there overnight. Not that that's a real, you know, high dollar gun. I paid nothing for it, so there's another gallon jug ready to make a hot tub for a gun wash out of it. We'll take it, put the cap on it, and with the cap side up, and you can cut the top of this out and fold it in, maybe put a piece of taper on it, and then you have a little bath there to soak your gun in if you have to. Usually I don't like soaking the whole thing down in there because of the seals and the packings in them, but if you have one that's real crusted up, or your cup needs to be soaked because it's got paint all over the outside, that works good. So I'm going to put my mask back in its bag here. I don't know if anybody runs into the same problem I do. These bags, you go to open them and half the time they tear. It's time to buy a new mask. This one's done. But it was nice and warm today. I opened the door, plenty of ventilation in here. So I'll pick up a new mask for the next job. So let's go take a quickie look at this and I'll cut you guys loose. I think I got enough primer on there. It scares me though, I can sort of see through it in a couple of spots. We'll see what happens tomorrow. I'll try and block it out. If it doesn't block out worth a shit, then I'll put a couple more coats on it. I won't thin it down as much. I'm not pressed to have this car done. He's out of town, so I don't have to have it done till a week from this Friday. But I was hoping to have it wrapped up tomorrow and leave it inside for a couple of days. If I have to cut and buff it, I will. Give me time to just let it sit and not feel pressured on it and rush around. So, alright guys, hope you enjoyed. Sorry there was not a lot of live footage. It was more of a process. Apologize for that. I'm slow, and if I had to do a video every time I did a process, there'd be 100 videos all put together, or if I let the camera run, you'd have a 4-hour video, and my computer is not going to handle that. So try and do it right the first time, so I take my time. Never worked in a body shop, and I'm not a production guy, so we'll make sure it's right and do it the best of our abilities. So hope you guys had a good day, and we'll get this one uploaded for you. Catch you later.